Everyone, if I could ask you to please take your seats. Thank you all for that. And what a day it is. What a good morning it is, right? We first and foremost, I want to thank all of you. Absolutely. As I was saying first, I certainly want to thank all of you for being with us here this morning. I know not only is the weather a bit challenging, it's a little less than ideal, although hopefully we've made accommodations to make it bearable for us here this morning. I know many of you have traveled from long distances to be here, and of course that is for a really, really good reason. Today is a day we've all been waiting for a very, very long time. Today's groundbreaking marks a dividing line between talking about taking bold action to save our coast and actually taking that action. It's the culmination of literally decades of work, hard work to bring an idea to life that's been pitched and proposed, discussed and dissected, evaluated and examined for literally decades. At CPRA, we believe that just because something makes sense on paper or seems simple, like a simple idea such as reconnecting the river to its coastal wetlands, it doesn't mean that you don't have to put in the hard work to make sure that it is done right. It takes lots of science and engineering, lots of partners, lots of education, lots of outreach, lots of communication and conversations with stakeholders of all kinds. And so to all of you who have helped make today possible, and there are far too many of you to name individually, even just the organizations, you know certainly who you are. I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for being here, and thank you for everything you did to get us here today. We all know that we didn't reach this milestone alone, and we certainly didn't reach it easily as well. Many of us today have had the good fortune to celebrate successes together before, but none of those successes, I would argue, are quite like this one we're celebrating here today. We take pride, as we often should, when we successfully address consequences of our land loss, our barrier islands, our living shorelines, ridge restoration projects, marsh restoration projects, all provide tremendous near-term benefit for both our people and our places here in Louisiana. But today is different. It's different because today we're able to say that we're addressing our coastal crisis at its fundamental core. We're tapping into the power of the Mississippi River to turn away from a broken ecosystem on the decline and toward what will once again be a healthy, productive ecosystem for days to come. This is something we all did together. We worked together with science as our guide, and we overcame the many challenges before us to be at the point that we're at today. I can also say with confidence and conviction that we wouldn't be here today without the strong leadership of Governor John Bel Edwards. Governor Edwards has been an unyielding champion for coastal Louisiana throughout his administration. He's made time to see the urgency of our land loss with his own eyes and to hear the concerns from stakeholders firsthand. He's been on the front lines with our teams and communities after every major storm for the last 8 years of his administration. He's pressed our federal and state leaders, our colleagues, and partners to invest in the coastal program, and he spearheaded unprecedented resilience initiatives to ensure that we've got a state to call home into the future. And importantly, especially today, he supported all of us, all of Team Coastal, every step of the way in making the Mid-Barataria sediment diversion a reality. And I'll say that wasn't done blindly, by the way. There were a lot of tough questions and thoughtful discussions along the way, as there should be, and we certainly appreciate that and welcome that. So with that, I'd like to introduce to you our first speaker this morning, a true coastal champion, Governor John Bel Edwards.
Thank you. Wow, thank you so much. You know, I was sitting there listening to Bryn and considering just how momentous this occasion is, what this project represents. And I couldn't help but think, and I hesitate to bring it up, but I remember back when then Vice President Biden was commenting to President Obama about the signing of the Affordable Care Act. This is the big deal. I'm going to leave out the rest of it. This is the big deal. Brent, thank you, not for the introduction, but thank you for that. Thank you for your leadership, for your work, for everybody at CPRA. And I extend a special welcome to our visitors and guests from out of state, because I know that some of you traveled a long distance to be here. That further adds clarity to the fact that this is a big deal. It's a big deal for our state. It's a big deal for the country. When we talk about coastal Louisiana, we claim that it is unlike anywhere else in the world. And we say that because it's true. We're not just different, we're special. It's unique. And from my point of view, there's nowhere else that can match our combination of natural resources, unique cultures, economic vitality, wonderful generosity of spirit of the people here. And we owe so much of that to the Mississippi River itself. It built the ground that we are on right now. It created the estuary that sustains our community. It provides us with vital artery of trade and economic activity. It has shaped this part of the world, our state, for thousands of years. And if we allow it to, it will continue to help us and to shape this part of our world for many, many years to come. And that's why we're here today. We have to take the long view. We have to make investments in projects today that will preserve us and provide for us in the future. In the 8 years I've been in office, we've witnessed project after project turn from concept to bid package to on-the-ground success. We've seen our policy agenda expand to cover more and more the consequences of the coastal crisis and more of the root causes of that crisis. And we've done it all from our playbook that tells us if you maximize the role of science, you minimize the role of politics. That has been so important for us. And these successes on the restoration side of the shop and the protection side, and by the way, they go hand in hand, because when you restore land, you're protecting people. And when you build protection projects, oftentimes it's easier to restore the land that is in the close vicinity of that. But working on both sides of the shop, we built more largest ever barrier island marsh creation ridge restoration projects than anyone ever thought possible. Since I took office, we've rebuilt more than 26,000 acres of coastal land, improved 83 miles of levee, restored 23 miles of barrier island habitat. And with this Mid-Barataria sediment diversion, when it is operating, we're going to change the physical footprint of our state. We will be adding wetlands instead of losing them. And I just told you, over the time that I've been governor, we've added 26,000 acres. This project is going to do that by itself. To give you some sense of the scale of what we're talking about here and how important. With this project, we are wisely investing funds from the Deepwater Horizon oil spill settlement in the area that was most heavily impacted by the oil spill. In about 5 years, we will have a one-of-a-kind infrastructure project in our own backyard, something that every Louisianan should be proud of. The largest ever ecosystem restoration project in our state's history, and quite frankly, I'm not aware of one on this scale anywhere in the country, and there are few in the world that can match the size of this project. It's also a project that will once again show the rest of the nation and the world that Louisiana has what it takes to address the growing threat of land loss and sea level rise. And the long road this project took to becoming a reality is a reminder to all of us, and hopefully an indication to our children, grandchildren, and people not yet born, what it means to be a steward of our environment. to be stewards of what God has blessed us with. So we should all take pride in the part that we played to make this day a reality, to make this dream come true, and for doing our part to ensure that Southeast Louisiana is as beautiful and significant and vibrant in the future as it is today. And Brent said there are too many people, too many organizations to thank. Otherwise, we would be here until longer than you want to be here. And it'll be hotter than you want it to be by the time we finish. But I would be remiss if I didn't recognize the hard work and, of course, the significant funding, adding up to $2.9 billion, provided by the Louisiana Trustee Implementation Group, represented by several federal and state agencies who are here today, and by the National Fish and Wildlife Federation Board, represented by Dale Hall, who is here with us today in the audience. Louisiana owes you all a debt of gratitude. But you know, when the funding is in hand and you've got a plan and a dream, it still takes a permit. So now I want to bring up one of our most important federal partners, Eric Batel, who's the Executive Director of the Federal Permitting Improvement Steering Council, which helped us make sure that we secured this permit in about a third the time that many people thought it would take. And that reflects the sense of urgency we have around our coastal land loss crisis. And when you have federal partners who are helping you in substantial ways like this, not just with the funding, but with the permit, you can get to a groundbreaking and then 5 years later actually have a functioning sediment diversion. So Eric Batel, come on up. Y'all make him welcome. Thank you so much.
Good morning. Thank you all. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. Thank you, Governor Edwards and the CPRA team for inviting me here. It really is exciting for me to be here today. It is one of my first groundbreakings in my new role as the Executive Director, so it's really an honor to be here where we have successfully delivered on the permits necessary to build something as important as this project. So I am the Executive Director of the Federal Permitting Improvement Steering Council, which is a horrible, long name, and it's really a mouthful, so generally we just call ourselves the Permitting Council. And we know well the hard work that everyone around here has done, and those who couldn't be here today, to get us to where we are today. But for anyone who's unfamiliar with what the Permitting Council does, I'd like to provide just a quick little primer for what we do. I don't need to tell you that oftentimes people consider the federal permitting process as Byzantine, complex, unpredictable, a black box, and it's because of that in 2015 Congress passed a piece of legislation called the Fixing America's Surface Transportation Act, and Title 41 of that piece of legislation created the Permitting Council, and it was created to bring agencies across government together to make the federal permitting process better coordinated, more collaborative, transparent, and ultimately more accountable. You can think of us as really a quarterback for the federal permitting process. And the process we use to quarterback that process is named after that piece of legislation, FAST 41. I'm going to bring it all together. The groundbreaking today is a product of FAST 41, and it shows us what is possible when we all, federal agencies and local governments, project sponsors and community members, are working together towards a common goal. Importantly, this accomplishment would not have been possible without the dedication and commitment of the CPRA team and the leadership of Governor Edwards. Back in 2017, when Mid-Barataria became a FAST 41 project, the Permitting Council engaged closely with federal, state, and local partners to develop and adhere to a permitting schedule, keeping all parties accountable as we work collaboratively towards completing the necessary reviews and approvals. As a new executive director, this is my first time here to this project location, but my team has been in close coordination with the local team to ensure that we are working together towards this milestone that we've reached here today. And we are working closely with CPRA and Governor Edwards on another project, the Mid-Breton, where we are providing similar support. But we celebrate Mid-Barataria, and I want to acknowledge how well this project aligns with many of President Biden's goals, including improving coastal resilience in the face of climate change, promoting green infrastructure, and advancing environmental justice by providing life-saving storm protection for some of the most vulnerable residents in the state. The Mid-Barataria Sediment Diversion Project will serve as a game changer for the Louisiana coastline and its inhabitants, and it's truly my pleasure to represent an agency that had a hand in making this day possible. I look forward to continued work with the Governor's Office and CPRA on this and other projects in the great state of Louisiana. Thank you.
Thank you for those remarks, Director Beadle. We really appreciate that. So 2 individuals who unfortunately were not able to be here with us today have provided some remarks via video that we'll play for you here in a second. But I'll just note that these guys have been tremendous supporters of Louisiana's coastal program and have really provided a strong push to gain momentum for the projects such as this one that we're celebrating here today to be implemented at the federal level. So they really need no introduction, but you all know Congressman Garrett Graves, of course, who's a former chair of the Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority, and Congressman Troy Carter. So we'll hear from them now.
Hello, I'm Congressman Troy Carter, and I proudly represent Louisiana's 2nd Congressional District. I wish I could be there with you in person at the Mid-Barataria Sediment Diversion groundbreaking. This is a remarkable achievement in our ongoing commitment to coastal protection and restoration. The Mid-Barataria Sediment Diversion is a testament to the dedication of our safeguarding Louisiana's coastal heritage. This cornerstone project within the Coastal Master Plan not only symbolizes great progress, but it also embodies resiliency as we continue our recovery from the deep water horizon oil spill. The significance of this milestone cannot be overstated, as it begins a new era of proactive environmental stewardship and sustainable growth. By diverting sediment from the Mississippi River, we are nurturing the very lifeblood of our coastal lands, revitalizing marshes, and fortifying our natural defenses against the relentless forces of nature. I applaud the dedication and perseverance that have brought us to this moment. Let's carry forward this momentum, driven by a shared vision of resiliency, thriving coastal ecosystems, and generations to come to enjoy. Together, we can continue to champion these types of projects. The Barataria Sediment Diversion is an example of responsible environmental stewardship. Thank you, CPRA, for your leadership. Together, we will continue to fight for and protect our environment to make sure that our children and our children's children can enjoy all that Louisiana has to offer. We are, in fact, one of the great places on earth to enjoy all of the nature, all of the wonder, all of the beauty. Let's fight together so we can protect our environment, so others will be able to enjoy what we grew up on. God bless you and continue your great work.
Hey, it's Congressman Garrett Graves. I can't even begin to tell you how much I wish I were with you there today. This is such an exciting day. Finally, reconnecting the Mississippi River with our adjacent coastal areas that are sediment starved, that are freshwater starved. This is absolutely incredible, long time coming, and just a huge foundation for our coastal master plan. So before I talk about this project, I want to give a shout out to a number of people that have put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this. You can think back and all of the people, going back after Hurricane Katrina, all the scientists like Robert Tweedy and Denise Reed, that were involved in the long-term plans for coastal Louisiana and the need to reconnect the river. People like Kyle Graham, Chip Klein, Brennan Hawes, and all of the leaders over time that have pushed this, Jerome Sarang, incredible people that have pushed this project for years and years. I want to thank Governor Jindal and our Governor John Bell Edwards for their efforts. Look, it takes a lot of courage to do this. There was so much that people have said for so many years as to why it should happen, it shouldn't happen, and what we did in this case is we relied on the science and let the science drive. Didn't let let the politics seep into it. The fact that we're doing a deep seal, the fact that we're reconnecting us and building upon the success of some of the other deltas, like Wax Lake Outlet, the Atchafalaya Delta, even places like West Bay and Mardi Gras Pass or the Bohemia Spillway that are creating land, learning from those projects like Carnarvon and Davis Pond, and as I said, going from a high sill to a low sill to make sure that we capture those major sediment volumes and making sure that we are able to build a sustainable footprint for Louisiana. Look, I don't need to tell any of you there, the river is what built Louisiana and many other states, by the way. And the river is what's going to save us. The river and her resources, that fresh water and that sediment. So, look, I know that there was just a ton of people behind this over years and years. I mean, my goodness, going back, the World Diversion was actually authorized by Congress, and I'm not sure if y'all remember this, but in 2005, actually having a rod signed on that project to Mid-Barataria today. Thank you to everyone for your tremendous efforts, for your courage. Really, really exciting that we're going to be breaking ground on this project moving forward, have a controlled structure to where we can mimic what used to happen naturally, follow the lessons of Mother Nature, have the aggressive monitoring program to inform, to govern, to guide how it is that we pulse these water resources, again, just like Mother Nature did, so that way people like the shrimp, the oysters, the dolphins, and the billies can all be very proud of what happens out here today. And, I remind you that we're not talking about devastating anything. All we're talking about is returning fisheries to the same place where our parents and our grandparents fished. And this is absolutely what we need to do, because we have two choices. We can either move fish or we can move people. And I'm going to choose to move fish and to develop a sustainable footprint for South Louisiana, a productive coastal ecosystem for South Louisiana every single day of the week. So congratulations to y'all, and good luck. Make sure when you're doing that groundbreaking, you dig deep.
Well, thank you to both Congressman Carter and Congressman Graves there. Certainly appreciate those kind words and words of support, and obviously their support for Louisiana's coastal program over the years. Look forward to that carrying on into the future. And speaking of supporting our coastal program, our next speaker will be Senator Pat Connick. I would like to invite him to the stage and let you all know, if you don't, he represents this area. Senator Connick's been, again, a strong partner helping to lead our efforts in the state legislature, and we're happy to have him here with us today. Senator Connick.
Good morning, everyone, and thank y'all for being here. Thank you, Bryn, and thank you for being in Plaquemines Parish. Jefferson Parish and Plaquemines Parish are home of some of the greatest fisheries in the world. These fisheries drive the regional economy and are the main reason we can say this place is truly unlike anywhere else in the world, just like Governor John Bel Edwards said a little while ago. Without our fishing industry, Louisiana economy suffers, and so does our country. Louisiana is home to the largest commercial fishery in the continental United States, including millions of pounds of seafood produced annually in these very waters behind me and to the south of us. We simply cannot afford to let that industry go. However, it's no surprise to any of us that this project will change the landscape of the marsh, and it has to change the landscape of the marsh. The entire Barataria estuary is in danger, and this project will be able to save it. We will affect generations for many, many years if this project, once this project is developed. Understand the short-term concerns of the fishermen. The fishing industry in this area is going to change, but it's got to change for the long-term benefit. Nevertheless, I'm eager to see future wetlands and more natural buffers for our community, and this is what this project will provide. Ultimate success of this project will take careful balance of operation, mitigation, monitoring, and I challenge CPRA to continue working with those crabbers, the shrimpers, and the oyster fishermen who know this area best, to involve them in the decision-making process and to protect our fisheries as we rebuild a functional estuary. We all know something needs to be done differently. Without bold action, we lose everything. So with that, I encourage all of us to think about the short-term impacts of this project may have in comparison to the long-term benefits I'm hopeful that all of our grandchildren get to see. So I want to thank the fishermen for the sacrifice they're going to make. But I agree with Congressman Graves. We need to move the fish, not the people. Thank the CPRA for having this event. Thank you guys for coming out. And let's work together to make this a reality. Thank you.
All right, our next speaker will be somebody that probably needs no introduction for any of you that's been around this project for a bit. It's the project manager on this project, Mr. Brad Barth. We were talking yesterday a little bit about this morning with Brad, and he began work on this project back in 2015. And he's really been the driving force that has led CPRA as an organization, his leadership, I can say from personal experience, our contractors and others to really get us to where we are here today. We simply put, would not be here without Brad's efforts. So Brad, the stage is yours.
Good morning. Thanks for everybody being here. I thought I wouldn't get choked up today, but I think I might just get a little choked up today. I'm really humbled to be here today because this really, truly has taken everybody that you see here. Look to your left, look to your right. Everybody's had a role in getting us here. And I hope everybody today can share the same sense of pride that I have as we get ready to go take those shovels and dig that first piece of dirt. As it's been said, all the different sectors, the industries, the groups that are here today that have contributed. I've been on this project for a long time, but some of you have been on it way longer than me and are seeing this day come today. I'd like to extend a special thank you to our state and federal partners who approached our work with a strong work ethic and have driven us and led us to help with the problem solving and accountability to delivering this project. And when we deliver this project, of the state being accountable to ourselves and our future coast, every step of the way moving forward. I'd also like to thank our contractors, our consultants that have been with us the whole way. Specifically, I want to name drop three folks: Jacobs Engineering, Archer Western Alberici, and AECOM. Hundreds more on that list, and I can't name them all. As John Bell said, we would be here all day if we named them all. But without your expertise, world-renowned expertise, not just Louisiana, but folks as far as the UK, of helping these planning and designing efforts. The momentum today that we're gained from the engineering process and turning this shovel into the construction phase will be replicated and amplified as we move forward and begin construction. And it will set the bar for construction in our future projects on the coast. And last but not least, the CPRA team. Countless trips all across the coast to federal offices, to Plaquemines Parish, to Jefferson Parish, to bait shops, churches, wherever we went to go to talk to the community. Doing your best work every day. Today is possible because of you. And last, I'd like to conclude by inviting up the Deputy Director, Greg Grandy.
Thank you, Brad, and thanks to all of our speakers today. Since 2016, CPRA has built larger and more complex coastal projects to match the growing scale of our land loss challenges. However, the Mid-Barataria sediment diversion is in a league of its own. It's not a small step, it's a giant leap forward. Today, we're breaking ground on a project that's critically important to the future of our state and will further Louisiana's position as a leader and innovator in environmental restoration. I'm more confident than Team Coastal than ever before. And Team Coastal is not just CPRA. It's a critical mass of expertise that we have in this state. It's been said, I think, by a number of the speakers before us. It's the folks at the federal level, the state level, our sister state agencies like Wildlife and Fisheries and DNR. It's at the local level, the parishes, the levee districts. It's the folks at the academic institutions, the private research facilities we have in Louisiana. It's our elected government leaders that support us. It's our environmental NGOs. It's everybody who stepped up. It's literally everybody in the crowd under this tent today, times about 100 that's part of Team Coastal. And I have no doubt in the future that there is no challenge, there is no obstacle that no matter how large or small that Team Coastal can overcome. So I want to thank you all for joining us today. That concludes the formal comments of our groundbreaking. For those that would like to join us, we've got a pile of dirt behind us. We've got some fancy shovels. If you're not going to join us, please drive home safe. Please stay cool today. Please stay hydrated. And thank you for everybody here today.